Oh, brother, this could be a long video. Anything American tourists do that unintentionally come off as rude. Literally everything. Let's get to this. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. My name is Mace. I'm coming to you from Canada. I'm in British Columbia. Out here on the West Coast. Let's hop into this. Hope y'all are doing fantastic, grand, great, spectaculational, phenomenational. I can keep making up words all day long, baby. Let's get to this and see what the people have to say. I'm American, and this is my first time traveling to Germany and Europe in general. I've been trying to be mindful of cultural differences. For example, at restaurants, I've learned to buy the bottled water instead of asking for tap. Are there other things that Americans commonly do that might come off as rude or inconsiderate in Germany, even if unintentional? I'm trying to avoid that. Just some things I saw last weekend on a trip to Croatia, where cruise ships are full of Americans. If you order extra, ask for the extra charges before ordering them, the extras, and don't complain about not being informed when the check comes. Yeah, arguing over the check is always just, honestly, I don't even have time. I wouldn't argue over a check unless there's a gross mistake. And yeah, I understand that there's extras, and often you can't just like change the menu or exchange things on your menu. Sometimes they can bring you extras for, like extra $2 and extra $4. But typically when you go to a restaurant and you look at the menu, you look at a menu item, it lists what's in the dish, right? What comes with the meal. If you're ordering things outside of that, yeah, it's not for free. This isn't rocket appliances here. All right, next. US dollars are not accepted. Some people were really shocked by that. Yeah, we've seen this a lot. People thinking US dollars are for some reason accepted, like in places where there's just literally no reason for them to be accepted. It's funny. This seems to be one of those ones that is kind of primarily a US American issue. Like, I don't think you ever hear stories of people traveling abroad with Canadian dollars and being like, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to pay with this toonie. Hey, you take toonies and loonies here? Oh, you don't? This is unacceptable, eh? I'm going back to Canada. Yeah, I don't think that happens very often. Next, don't expect free refills ever. All right, so growing up, I expected free refills from most like fast food type places. But I've noticed in the past decade and change that has changed, that refills typically aren't free anymore. And I think at the base, just being aware that when you travel, things aren't the same in different places that you go. That's one of the things we see with these tourists, whether they be American or from somewhere else. They travel to somewhere like halfway around the world, and then they're like surprised for some reason when there's, minor inconveniences to them or minor differences in cultural norms, and they have difficulty understanding that the entire planet is not like an American shopping mall. Yeah. All right. Be aware that almost everybody can understand you. It was funny to see how every table was laughing at them, listening on them, complaining about Europe being difficult, thinking nobody could understand. Don't expect anyone anywhere doing lots of small talk. Okay, so the last point about being overheard in restaurants or public settings. Yeah, that's just a lack of awareness or just an entitlement and arrogance by, well, these were Americans, I suppose. But I always my perception is, and I'm always aware of, that when I'm in like a restaurant or I'm out in public somewhere, I don't like having like personal conversations. And it sounds like these people were just being, complaining about Europe, being obnoxious, being just kind of stupid, which is a whole nother matter. But for myself, I don't like having conversations in public because those are my conversations. They're private conversations. I don't want people to hear them. And I'm aware when I'm in a restaurant or I'm in a space in public, it's very easy to listen to people's conversations. You could go to a coffee shop and just kind of sit there and have your coffee and just listen to all these sometimes mundane, but sometimes like wild conversations. Some people, you'll be shocked what they will share even though they should be aware that people can hear what they're saying. Same goes for people that talk on the phone, like in public, and just like they talk as if nobody can hear them. It's crazy. All right. Don't expect anyone anywhere doing lots of small talk. Yeah, I suppose that depends where you go. That depends where you go. All right, let's continue on. This is a long thread, so this will probably be a series of videos, and we're going to cover this whole thread because I think there's probably a lot of interesting topics to look over. And also, you guys make sure to comment down below because I want to hear your inputs. I want to hear your considerations. So, quote, Europe being difficult is so funny, considering European countries seem to actually care about their people. Yeah, it's a generalization, but I think that stereotype that Europe, the social safety nets are certainly more robust, and you do have a segment of the American population where they even hear like the words care about people. If they hear those words like in succession or in a sentence, their brain goes to like, hey, communism, socialism. We don't care about people. I care about myself. I care about myself. That's paramount. I am the king of my domain. I make my own way. I'm just living the American dream. I'll be a millionaire one day. Sorry, I'll be a multi-millionaire one day. 'Cause being a millionaire these days don't mean shit. What being a millionaire? Are you gonna buy a house with $1 million? The houses are over $1 million. You make $22 an hour, sir. Are you living the American dream? Working 65 hours a week? Double shifts, trying to get overtime? No vacations? No benefits? No, like, what's happening? It's not difficult, this person says, in reply to the Europe being difficult. It's so funny comment. It's not difficult, it's just different. We value to be mindful with one another instead of pursuing maximum freedom or whatever. So yeah, we're kind of making generalizations here, and there is a reason for those stereotypes, because America, especially, look who they've elected and voted for in the tens and tens and tens of millions 3 times now, and elected twice a dude who, we don't even need to mention his name. Let's start treating him like Voldemort. I can't wait till the dude goes away, to be honest. He's 80 years old, but just go away already. Why can't we get some young people in politics? Why does every political leader have to be like 76 years old and want to send every 18 to 20-year-old man to a war to fight over who's got the biggest Johnson? Like, just playground bullies, sending people to die, creating horrors that affect millions of people. They're just all playing a game, playing in the sandbox with their toys, sitting on their, mattresses made of cash, and extracting wealth and cozying up with all of their other buddies to basically screw over every other living person on the planet. Wow, getting spicy today. Meanwhile, we Europeans enjoy the freedom of not having to pay millions for a doctor's visit and the freedom to not have a school shooting every day. To be fair, there hasn't been a school shooting in the US in a while. Wait, let's check that. When was the last school shooting? Look at Canada comes up first, because we did have a absolutely horrific school shooting a few months ago, which was very unusual and not something that happens often in Canada. So it was very shocking to the Canadian people. But when was the last one in the US? AI didn't answer my question. Come on, AI, be good at something. The last tracked school shooting in the United States occurred June 17th. Okay, so 8 days ago. Gainesville High School. Because there's no single universal definition of what qualifies as a school shooting. I would say a kid bringing a gun to school and shooting somebody. Probably. Themselves or somebody. But a shooting taking place at a school, I think, can be classified as a school shooting. Or do we have to qualify that with like, oh, they killed at least 3 kids? Like, how sad does that... How sad is that even the discussions can even happen? Look at June 17th, June 12th, June 11th, June 10th. Okay, what happened at the Gainesville High School shooting? Let's see. Oops. Gainesville. What is it? Gainesville, Texas? Gainesville, Florida? Gainesville High School shooting. 50-year-old dresser. Oh, he pointed a gun. I don't even know if that's the right one, but the point is there's way too often school shootings, and that's because there's guns that are very easy to access for people. And the U.S., their gun stats and gun death statistics are absolutely mind-bogglingly gross and just horrific. But yeah, it's a different place down there. When I say down there, I'm in Canada. I mean the U.S. It's a different place. Their gun culture is off the charts. They really love their guns. They sleep with a pistol under their pillow. It makes them feel safe somehow. Makes them feel safe, even though the probability is they're just going to shoot one of their family members is much more, or themselves. The probability of that happening is much higher than like stopping an intruder or something. I need an AR-15 to protect my family. All right, let's just get off. Let's go into the next topic here. What can we find? All right, here we go. As a German, it was a fun day when it dawned on me that I've probably looked like a cheapskate way too many times for only ever ordering water in the US. I mean, I often order water at restaurants too, here in Canada. You can do that. I know in Europe, the waiter's going to look at you funny and be like, no. You can get a bottled water. We'll bring that up for you. You pay for it. Tap water. Get out of here. What do I look like, a servant? This person commented, for electing a clown twice. Yeah, a narcissistic man baby who paints his face orange and has the skin thickness of an ant. I don't know, maybe ants have really thick skin and that comment didn't make any sense. But Trump said his name. End the video. Dude is a POS, basically. I knew that right from the beginning. I think when it really galvanized for me was when he mocked the disabled reporter at like a Trump rally, and then all of his idiotic mega faithful just laughing and like cheering. I don't know. Way I was brought up, you don't make fun of disabled people. I don't know. Is that weird or something? Like, is that like when our society is at that point where you have millions of people just not caring about others and being that level of cruel, we're going down the wrong road here. We're in the final stages of something, and it's probably not good. You think the Romans knew that they were going to cease to exist? Yeah. When someone asks you where you're from, don't just say Nevada. We don't know what that means. That's true. Like, where in Nevada? Although the beginning of this video, where did I say I was from? I said I was from Canada. Then I said I was from British Columbia, I think. And then I said I was on the West Coast. So I'm actually in the lower mainland. Actually, no, I'm not on mainland. I'm on Vancouver Island. Close enough, though. And I did live in the mainland years ago near Vancouver. So I could just say that, hey, I live in Vancouver. I live on Vancouver Island, close enough. People that don't know the area aren't really going to know the specifics anyways, but I do appreciate the point of this comment saying, don't just say Nevada. Nevada's just a big desert. If somebody said, I'm from Nevada, I might think they're from Las Vegas. I don't know. I think people around the world know a lot about the US and some of their more famous cities just plainly through consuming so much Western and American media where there's so many famous movies. When I think of Las Vegas, I think of a place I don't want to go. I think of enormous meals and lots of obese people and lots of gambling, which I don't do. I'm not a gambler. And then I think of movies. So I think of like Casino by Scorsese, or I think of The Hangover, things like that. We want to know, do you live in a city close to mountains? Is it southern? Is your place famous for something? How different is it from here, etc.? That's what we're curious about. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that applies to anybody. All right, read the wiki and search the sub, please. There are lots of posts with this question that have been answered. Cool. This person says, being loud. Yes. I've told a story about Americans being loud many a time on this channel. I actually brought up that story recently to my father, and he said, oh, you remember that? That was incredibly uncomfortable and insane that we saw that. It was basically an American family being an SNL skit. It was like 4 Americans with like football jerseys yelling at a Mexican bus driver because I don't even know. They took the wrong bus, or he didn't know English up to their, the level that they wished he did. It was crazy. And they had Southern accents too. It was insane. And they were being really loud and obnoxious and rude. Renting a car. I was like 15, so I wasn't really going to intervene. Renting a car and driving where you aren't supposed to. That moron family in Munich. You remember that moron family in Munich? Oh, I remember that moron family in Munich. Yeah, that moron family in Munich. Oh, there was a bunch of morons in there. The morons in Munich, we call them. That moron family in Munich drove right through a pedestrian-only area instead of effing stopping and asking for a way out. That's not good. That's certainly not good. I was in Calgary one time, and I went up a one-way. So it is true that this can happen when you're driving in unfamiliar areas, and you're kind of... So basically, we were looking for our destination, and we were struggling to find it. I'd been to Calgary before, but I'd certainly never driven around Calgary. And a kindly bus driver sort of, did the old... And then he's like, you're going down a one-way. I was like, oh, thanks, kindly bus driver. And we figured out where to go. But yeah, you should plan a little bit. In general, avoid the attitude that also a lot of Europeans have when they're abroad. Act like you own the place. Don't compare everything to the United States. That makes you look provincial. Be aware that a lot of people will understand what you're saying if you're discussing the locals in a gale force 10 voice. A gale force 10 voice. I like that. If you're not a douchebag, and if you were, you wouldn't have asked in the first place, you'll be fine. Have a nice trip. Yeah. This person's listening a lot. Why don't we just talk through these, and I'll end the video for today. I'm going to continue this thread because there's a lot in here, and I think a lot of things that we can bring up, I can bring up, and I can bring my idiotic and rambling windbag comments to all of you. And people watch it, so I'll keep posting it. It's the way it is. This is the internet, baby. All right, this person brings up the point that we just saw, talking too loud, assuming everyone speaks English. Yeah, English is kind of like somewhat of a universal language, I suppose, for the world. A lot of people know English for sure. But also, you have to understand a lot of people don't know English. So I was in the Philippines recently, and I was in Korea. In the Philippines, for the most part, everybody speaks pretty good, like fluent, but they might not speak as fluent as, somebody from Canada. But they understand you. They're going to understand. They're going to be able to communicate pretty easily for the most part in the Philippines. I would say like 75 to 80% of Filipinos you can have a fluent conversation in English for. And that's because English is one of their national languages, and they learn English in school. Much better than us Canadians learn French, I'll say. But yeah, not everybody speaks English. And the same in the Philippines. There'll be people that don't speak English. When I was in Korea, a huge lesser number of people know English. So it's not quite as easy to communicate. Making too much small talk with people who aren't interested. Yeah, small talk sucks, man. Listen, I work in an office setting. You got to deal with small talk sometimes. But listen, just be friendly, be genuine, be present. I think that's the best thing that you can do. And if doing small talk is not your thing, just greet the person and say, okay, I'm going to go to my office and do some work. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Right? Like, just be genuine, be present. If you don't like small talk, don't do it. Sometimes you got to sit there and kind of do the old, Oh, wow. Oh, oh. What? Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's crazy. And where was that? Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, sure, yeah. Oh, no. No, I've never been there before. Like, you don't have, there's those one sided conversations where one person is doing the predominant amount of talking, and you're just kind of like picking, you know, the last two words of a sentence and asking them a question, and then they just keep talking. Or just one of those people where you literally can't get away from them. They'll continue talking to you. I'm a very quiet person for the most part in real life until I really am comfortable and know somebody. So I always found it kind of an interesting dichotomy with myself. Pretending to be Canadian to avoid bad reputation. Yeah, don't pretend to be other nationalities. It's kind of a dick move. Assuming America is the center of the universe on how you frame things. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. I'm sure y'all have some things to say about that one, I tell you. Using US measurements and expecting people to understand them. Yeah, that's stupid. Really stupid. Talking about how people live their lives while they can hear you. Yeah, that's arrogant. That is a lack of humility. That's entitlement. Framing everything political through the American worldview. What might be bad in the USA might not be here. Using your American viewpoint to force that viewpoint on others. Yeah, that's a fair point. You know, I think it can be hard to help right now when the president of the United States affects everything so on such a global level, and globalization and global connectivity is at an all-time high in the way that our supply chains and our digital networks and media, how everything connects and how everything's kind of coming together and melding into one another. It can be hard to disconnect that sometimes, I think, with the American dominance in media and the American attitude of exceptionalism and attacking other countries. And we're still dealing with the economic effects of Trump's policies and his economic attacks on Canada. It was just a week ago he's calling, Carney governor again. Uh, Thankfully, I feel like Trump hasn't been in the news about him has kind of died down, which is, I think his goal was, using the Epstein war, using the Iran war as that kind of like human shield for the Epstein files, and he seems to have gone through it. Getting drunk and being loud on the sidewalk in quiet time. Yeah, nobody likes a drunk. Nobody likes obnoxious people. And there's nothing worse, honestly, than like Western drinking culture. It can be abhorrent, and I feel bad for a lot of the young kids who get pressured into it and then leads them down a dark road. Not being able to hold your alcohol properly. Yeah, that's just drinking too much. Maybe don't drink half a Mickey of vodka or something, and then expect you're going to be having a real good evening and a really good morning, because your morning's going to really suck, and that likely is going to tumble into multiple days of suck. So yeah, alcohol sucks basically. I think my family or my genetics certainly allows that drinking copious amounts and not having a hangover, and that's a problem, right? People that don't get hangovers, because you can drink a shit ton, right? You can get screwed up. You can drink a lot. Then you wake up in the morning, you're just like all chippy. You're like, oh man, I'm doing pretty good today. I think I can drink again. Meanwhile, your liver is just like shriveling up inside of you. Not to mention all of the other negative effects on your body. I am really, really right now trying to lose weight. It's really hard to be disciplined. Honestly, it's really, really hard to be disciplined. I'm at the end of the video now, so you can click away if you don't want to hear this. Discipline's a hard thing, right? Willpower. Humans and willpower, man, are eternal struggle. I saw a quote the other day. I think it was, what was his name? I forget. He's one of those like motivational speakers. He was talking about discipline, and basically the quote goes like, well, my mentor told me one day, there's two pains in life. The pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Well, discipline weighs an ounce, regret weighs a ton. So in 20 years from now, how much are you going to regret not having that discipline? Right? And how every choice you make leads to a different you in the future. And people change so much. Like, I can't believe how different my views are and how different I am as a person. Just in the span of a decade. Like, I think your 20s and your late 20s, I'm almost 40 years old. So, like, it's wild. It's wild. That's what I'll say. Because time starts condensing the older you get. It starts going by quicker. Because when you're 20 years old, or when you're 10 years old, whatever, 20 years old, 1 year of your life is like, that's a huge amount of that 15-year span or that 20-year span. Like a year, it's like 1/20th of that. But then you're like, you're 39, you're 42. It's like those years start becoming a much smaller percentage of your life. So thereby they maybe feel like they're going by quicker. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. Later, alligator. All that BS.